The first strike. They came without warning. The sky tore open in streaks of violet flame, burning holes in clouds that hadn't seen rain in weeks. Towering ships blotted out the sun, casting twisted shadows over cities already dying from war and climate decay. People didn't scream, they stared. First contact wasn't the wonder humanity had imagined. It was judgment. The Icaran Dominion called it a controlled encounter protocol, a test to measure the worth of a species. They had done it before. Dozens of worlds. Hundreds of civilizations. Always the same result: swift collapse, minimal resistance, swift absorption or eradication. Their methods were clinical, efficient, devastating. Earth was just another data point. Commander Vreth, third caste strategist, watched the blue-green planet from orbit as the simulations unfolded. His second-in-command, Kotalin, approached with a datapad glowing red. Resistance readings remain erratic. Primitive tech. No unified defense. Global cohesion absent. Vreth nodded, eyes reflecting Earth's glow through the viewport. Begin Phase 1. Precision decapitation strikes. Major cities first, military installations next. Within hours, London's skyline became molten glass. Beijing turned to choking ash. Washington, D.C. vanished in a silent flash from orbit. In every time zone, the Icaran unleashed tailored viral swarms, EMP clouds, and gravitational suppressors. No invasions. No warnings. Just the calm application of overwhelming force. What remained of the world's governments surrendered. Or tried to. No answer came from the Icaran fleet. Surrender wasn't part of the test. 6 months later, Earth was quiet. Its sky still glowed faintly with orbital traffic. Vreth walked the halls of a low-orbit research cruiser, expressionless. Screens lit with analysis reports, behavioral charts, dissection records. Human physiology, culture, language, religion, war history. Curious species, Vreth muttered. Obsolete but fierce, Kotalin offered. Yet unworthy, Vreth decided. They failed the unity metric. No centralized resilience. No adaptive resistance. No logical cohesion. Predictable collapse. He paused before a screen showing scattered red dots, residual life signs. Small groups still persist, Kotalin noted. Rural zones. Subterranean holds. Scavenger tribes. Vreth waved it off. Reflexive noise. That's not survival, it's twitching. We collect final samples and depart. But the next day, one of their extraction teams didn't check in. Then another. Then 3 more. The first real concern came when they found the Ravager-class mech near the Rocky Mountains, its head carved open, pilot missing. No external damage. No Icaran tech nearby. Just an old trapdoor in the ground. Metal spikes. A burning symbol drawn in ash across the snow. Remember Dallas. Vreth stood over the wreckage, mandibles twitching. Who would do this? Kotalin hissed. Not who, Vreth replied. What remains? They increased patrols. Drones. Sensor sweeps. Bioscorchers. Still, the ambushes escalated. Command bunkers were breached with surgical precision. Entire squads vanished in forests. Field surgeons were found strung upside down from trees, stripped of gear, unmarked, left for their comrades to find. The humans weren't just alive. They were hunting. On the 7th month, the Icaran Dominion received a message, intercepted from a hijacked comm relay on Earth. It played once before the system shut itself down. This is not your world. You came to test us. We are your answer. This is not surrender. This is the reckoning. Vreth stood alone in the observation deck of the cruiser, watching Earth spin slowly beneath him. His clawed hand gripped the railing. They adapt faster than projected, he said aloud. Kotalin entered quietly. Survivors are merging old tech with our scrap. Communication across continents. Rumors say they've reversed field jamming frequencies. They're learning us. Vreth exhaled slowly. The test had run too long. Earth wasn't collapsing. It was evolving. Initiate Phase 3, he ordered. Full tactical clean sweep. Burn what's left. Nothing rises from this ruin. He turned from the window, but not before catching his own reflection. For the first time, he looked uncertain. Far below, in a frozen cave somewhere in Colorado, a woman crouched by a low fire, wrapping copper wire around a homemade detonator. Her name was Maya Cruz. She didn't smile anymore. She didn't cry either. She had a map with alien patrol routes, a stack of dog tags, and a rifle built from pieces of 3 worlds. She looked up at the stars and whispered, "We survived your judgment. Now survive ours." The wolves in the wreckage. They called her a ghost in Icaran briefings. A myth. But Sergeant Maya Cruz was real. And she was very much alive. She crouched in the underbelly of a derailed mag transport, half buried in the new Colorado waste. The bones of old highways stretched like ribs above her. Beside her, Deeks, former aircraft mechanic, now guerrilla sapper, tightened the last bolt on a tripwire rig made from scavenged plasma filament. 4 squads passed through this corridor last week, Maya said, watching the horizon through a cracked lens. None returned. Deeks grunted. Maybe they're learning. Maya checked her rifle, hand-welded from earth steel and Icaran alloys. They always learn too late. She gave a short hand signal. The rest of her team moved like shadows, 4 humans, camouflaged, sunburned, and silent. They were all survivors from the original invasion zones. None were soldiers when the war began. But none of them needed to be anymore. They were wolves now. The trap was simple. A salvage beacon disguised as Icaran tech would ping once. Standard protocol demanded at least 1 unit investigate. When the drone scout came, they'd let it pass. But when the infantry followed, 4 tall, armor-clad Icaran with rifles that bent light and mines, they'd trigger the net. 20 seconds later, all 4 were down. Neural disruptors. Spikes. The last one tried to crawl away. Maya stepped over him. He clicked weakly in the Icaran tongue. "You are animals." She leaned in, eyes hard. "No. We're the test results." She plunged her knife through the soft joint of his jaw and ended the lesson. Later that night, they regrouped at Hollow Base, an underground refugee shelter buried beneath the ruins of what used to be a Walmart supercenter. Walls lined with lead, solar-linked energy batteries, hydroponic fungus for food. Dozens of survivors lived there now. Children played near old soda machines. A woman taught basic math using Icaran glyphs scratched into concrete. Maya reported to the central console. It glowed blue, powered by a hacked Icaran AI known as Jealous, a former translator unit they had stolen and reprogrammed. "Welcome, Maya," it said in a soft digital voice. "Would you like this report in Icaran or English?" "English," Maya said, pulling off her dusty helmet. 17 skirmishes in the last 48 hours. 11 Icaran fatalities. 3 captured. 2 patrols rerouted around survivor zones. Enemy morale dropping. Intercepted message fragment. Request retreat. Quarantine recommended. Maya chuckled grimly. Quarantine. Like we're a disease. That may be accurate, Jealous replied. Your species is exhibiting accelerated adaptive behavior. The Dominion expected static resistance. It did not expect evolution under pressure. Good, Maya said. Let them feel fear. Across the Pacific, another survivor cell hacked into the orbital broadcast grid. An Icaran command barge hovering over Manila received a garbled signal. Static. Then an image, a burning Icaran helmet hanging from a tree, turning slowly in the wind. A voice followed in clear Icaran dialect. You tested us with fire. We survived the burn. Now we are the flame. The barge retreated without orders. At high orbit, Commander Vreth listened to the reports with growing discomfort. The humans were no longer just hiding. They were coordinating. From the Himalayas to the Andes, survivors had developed coded communication using old-school tech and stolen Icaran systems. Morse code, shortwave radio, laser pulses. They hijacked drones mid-flight, turned wreckage into lures, trained feral dogs to sniff Icaran plasma residue. And worse, they were showing patterns. These aren't mindless attacks, Kotalin admitted. There's intelligence, strategy, psychological manipulation. Vreth stared at a looping video, an Icaran soldier sobbing, bound, while survivors walked in slow circles around him, whispering in English and Icaran. "They've turned this into a hunt," Vreth muttered. "They want us to bleed." Back at Hollow Base, Maya listened as a teenage scout, Rico, reported finding a crashed Icaran skiff in the canyons. No survivors. But one word was etched into the metal with acid. "Run." Rico looked at Maya, eyes wide. "They're getting the message." Maya didn't answer right away. She looked around at the makeshift base, the solar rig she and Deeks had welded together, the kids sleeping in broken freezer compartments, the smell of fungus and hope. Then she looked up, past the concrete, past the sky, toward the stars. "Not yet," she said. "But they will." Predator Protocol. Commander Vreth had never tasted defeat. Not until Earth. Now, in the steel-gray war chamber of the Dominion harrowship Vraxel, he watched a silent feed from one of their forward patrols. Armor blackened, weapons dismembered, a familiar message carved into the dirt beneath the corpses. "This is our world. Not your experiment." Vreth gritted his teeth. "Activate Predator Protocol. I want the ghosts rooted out." Kotalen hesitated. High Command restricted Predator deployment for unstable zones. "This is unstable," Vreth snapped. "This planet is spiraling into controlled chaos. We end it now." The order went through. From orbital bays, the Dominion's elite dropped to Earth. Massive biomechanical horrors bred for war, part flesh, part metal, designed to hunt insurgents across any terrain. Beside them, flying war beasts howled in digital sync, painting Earth's ruins with infrared and ultrasonic scans. Predator Protocol had crushed rebellions across 5 systems. It had never failed. Until Earth. Maya Cruz watched the creatures descend from the ridge of the Wyoming exclusion zone, her scoped rifle balanced against rusted scaffolding. The first predator she saw was a thing of nightmares, taller than a grizzly, insectoid, plated in curved obsidian armor, breathing in high-frequency bursts. A low hum of energy surrounded it, distorting the air like heat over pavement. But Maya wasn't scared. "Not anymore." "Deeks," she whispered. "You see that?" He peered through a scope beside her. "Yeah. But we've got something it doesn't. Brains." Deeks grinned. "Local terrain." The trap was already laid. Buried under scorched asphalt and old sewer lines were repurposed Dominion fusion cells, deactivated, rigged to overheat when hit with Predator-grade sonar pings. As the creature approached, scanning the ground ahead, its own sensors triggered a catastrophic overload. A violet shockwave tore through the empty street. When the smoke cleared, the biomech twitched once. Then its skull collapsed inward. "Smart tech," Deeks muttered, rising. "Dumb programming." Elsewhere, survivor cells coordinated across the globe. In Argentina, they used hacked drones to bait flying war beasts into electrical storms. In Nepal, monks and hackers planted electromagnetic grenades in the snow, turning the Himalayas into a death maze. Each time the Icaran tried to adapt, humans adapted faster. Even their beasts grew wary. Commander Vreth paced his bridge, watching alert reports scroll endlessly across his screen. The losses were unsustainable. "It's not just tactics," Kotalen said quietly. "It's culture. They worship pain. Every loss makes them fiercer. The harder we strike, the deeper they dig." Vreth bared his fangs. "They're scavengers, feral." "They're intelligent," Kotalen said, voice rising. "We came to test them. We gave them hell. And they made a weapon out of it." In Hollow Base, Maya and her crew celebrated a major breakthrough. Jealous, the reprogrammed Icaran AI, had decrypted a Dominion data string, the coordinates of their last fallback fortress, located inside a cloaked orbital platform over the Atlantic. It was where the Dominion would retreat once Predator Protocol failed. And it was vulnerable. Maya drew a circle on the war table. "We hit them there. End of the chain. They came to test us. It's time we show them results." A silence followed. Then Deeks nodded. "We'll need every cell active. All the survivors." Maya looked around the table, faces ragged, eyes tired but alive. "Then call them," she said. "Call everyone." That night, across the world, the signal went out. Through smoke-streaked skies and ruined towers, Whispers passed from old transistor radios to hand-carved codestones. Even in the wastelands of Siberia, fighters stirred. A single word burned through the dark. Rise. The Icaran were no longer feared. They were prey now, bleeding from every edge of Earth's crust, their patrols hiding during the solar cycle, their cruisers hovering high above, afraid to descend. Inside the Dominion fortress, Vreth read his daily report. 84 predators destroyed. 6 war beasts grounded. 3 Dominion bunkers abandoned. 1 command officer missing. Message recovered from the wreckage: run faster. He stared long into the void of space and realized the truth. They hadn't misjudged human strength. They had misjudged human rage. Far below, Maya cleaned her weapon in silence. The operation would begin in 5 days. Her daughter's name was scratched into the barrel. She had died in the first wave 2 years ago. Maya never buried her. There hadn't been time. Now there would be justice. Not for Earth. Not for survival. But for every name forgotten by the stars. She looked up toward the sky. And smiled. Exit wound. The sky over the Atlantic was ablaze. Flaming wreckage rained down from low orbit as human-made missiles, stitched from scrapped rockets, salvaged Icaran boosters, and nuclear cores, pierced the outer shields of the Dominion's last fallback fortress. The once invisible platform shimmered like a dying star, its cloaking matrix collapsing. Maya crews stood at the launch control deck inside Hollow Base, eyes locked on the satellite feed. Direct hits confirmed, Jelist reported. Their shield grid is failing. Window of entry, 13 minutes. Then we go now, Maya said. Patch me through. A moment later, voices from every survivor cell echoed through the command channel. Crackling signals, distorted by static, answered from ruined cities, underground silos, mountaintop bunkers, and hidden desert caves. Maya leaned into the mic. This is for the ones they took. This is for the scorched ground and broken homes. For the silence they left behind. This is not retaliation. This is reckoning. Move. Above Earth, Commander Vreth staggered through the smoke-filled command deck of the fortress. Sirens wailed in every frequency. Kotalen had been crushed by a ceiling beam. Most of the crew were dead or fled. Dominion High Command had gone dark. A nearby monitor flashed the impossible. Small fighter pods, human-made, breaking through the breach points. They had reverse-engineered spaceflight from debris and scrap. Unthinkable. Vreth limped to the helm console, blood trickling down his plated chin. Earth was supposed to be a test. Instead, it had become his tomb. Inside one of the stolen drop pods, Maya checked her gear. Her rifle hummed softly, its alien core glowing with faint blue light. Beside her, Deeks tightened his harness. "You ready?" he asked. Maya looked down at Earth, its scars, its survival. "I was ready the day they took my daughter." The pod jerked as it locked into the breach tunnel. "Punching through in 3, the pilot said. Maya's eyes narrowed. "Let's show them what survival looks like." They entered the fortress like a blade through flesh. Dozens of pods rammed into its hull, doors bursting open with makeshift breaching charges. Survivors poured in, farmers, engineers, doctors, old soldiers, moving in squads through sterile corridors, clearing rooms, hacking doors, planting charges. The Icaran defenders, once unstoppable, now scrambled like insects. Their formations shattered. Their commands fragmented. Vreth fought his way to the AI core chamber, the last sanctuary on the ship. His claws dripped with blood, his breath ragged. He didn't understand. "They should have broken," he whispered. "This world should have shattered." But Earth hadn't shattered. Earth had adapted. It had burned. And from that fire, it had forged its vengeance. Maya found him in the core chamber, surrounded by broken droids and spilled Icaran blood. She raised her rifle. Vreth turned slowly. "You are Maya Cruz." She didn't answer. "I studied your species," he said. "You're not logical. You're emotional. Chaotic. You destroy yourselves more than we ever could." She stepped closer. "And yet we're still here." Vreth staggered toward the core panel. "We could leave. Withdraw. Earth will be marked as unstable. No further testing." Maya nodded. You'll run. Vreth met her eyes. We tested you. You passed. She aimed her rifle at his chest. You failed. The plasma bolt tore through him, throwing his body into the central core, where it convulsed once, then went still. 20 minutes later, survivor teams evacuated. The fortress groaned as charges exploded throughout its internal structure. Fire swallowed its upper decks. Jelistha's final message echoed through Maya's earpiece. Orbital mass destabilized. Platform descent imminent. Recommend evacuation vector Alpha. Maya and Deeks leapt into their pod and launched just as the fortress buckled, dipped, then plummeted, dragged into Earth's gravity well. It struck the ocean like a god falling. A mile-high wall of steam erupted, and the sky went dark. Weeks passed. The last Ikran ships left orbit without resistance. No messages. No final threats. Just silence. Across Earth, humanity emerged into the light again. Broken, yes. But unbent. They rebuilt, not for empires, not for flags. For each other. Solar panels rose where weapons once fell. Water flowed in pipes scavenged from alien hulls. The old nations were gone. In their place, survivor networks formed something new. Global, mobile, human. Maya walked the shore where the fortress had fallen. The ocean still hissed from the heat. She reached into her coat and pulled out a dog tag, her daughter's. She placed it on a black stone marker. Then she whispered, "They tested us. But we were never the ones on trial." She turned and walked toward the rising sun. Behind her, etched into the stone, were the last words of Earth's reckoning. We endured. We hunted. We survived.